What's up, my Nigeria people? How una dey? Now let's look at the implication of a possible merger between the NNPP and the Labour Party. And here we're basically looking at two major personalities: Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, the former Kano State governor, and Peter Obi, the former governor of Anambra State, who leads the now very famous the Obedient movement. Now, I've seen supporters and followers of the two major political parties, APC and PDP, try to dismiss the implication of a possible alliance between NNPP and Labour Party, that is Kwankwaso and Peter Obi coming together. I think I must say here that if that happens, that automatically becomes a major threat to the two major political parties. Now, I don't need no one to tell me that such an alliance will bother the APC and the PDP. Why do I say so? Now, I needed to listen to this analysis. Why do you have to listen to me? Because I have some credibility. I have been a government teacher. I have a good grasp of political history in Nigeria, and I've followed the events and the developments since 1999. I think I'm in a good place to give you proper analysis here. Historically, for the very first time, we are having a major and a real handshake between the core North and the East. The first time this happened was in the First Republic, the NCNC and the NPC, that's Nnamdi Azikiwe and Sir Tafawa Balewa and the Ahmadu Bello squad, having a coalition that produced the ruling government of that time, with Obafemi Awolowo's AG Action Group being the opposition in the West. After the First Republic, you had the Civil War and all of the other political developments in Nigeria. A lot of people will forget that the North and the East, in terms of political relationship, used to work together, used to be very close until after the end of that republic, and then the civil war that followed, and up till now, unfortunately, they've not really been able to have that close relationship. They seem to have charted their own course politically. You've seen the East voting in a certain pattern, and the North having a different pattern of voting, over the years. So if the Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso and Peter Obi alliance becomes a reality, it will be the very first time you're having, that handshake between core North and the East in recent time political history. NNPP-Labour Party alliance will be a big deal because of the personalities involved. Now, we are looking at personalities here. We are talking about the man Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, former Kano State governor, and Peter Obi, the former Anambra State governor. Now, beyond the fact that Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso leads a very, very politically aware, a very, very politically interested group, the Kwankwaso movement, which some of you may already know, a major movement politically in the North. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso is also from Kano that has, according to latest INEC records, 10 million registered voters. Now, that is a huge asset going into a presidential election in Nigeria. A very, very huge asset. Love him or hate him, you cannot ignore Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. He's a go-to man when it comes to the North, and especially the Northwest, talking about winning votes. Now, 10 million votes. Of course, definitely, I do not expect 10 million people to come out with their PVCs. But if you have 10 million registered voters, especially for a state that is very politically aware and that has a huge level of political participation, high voter turnout, you want to see maybe 6-7 million voters coming out that day. Now, if you compare this record to the 2019 records, Kano had about 6 point something million registered voters, and now you have it shooting up to 10 million due to the surge in voter registration going into the 2023 general election. So 10 million votes. Now, these are some of the factors that make Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso peak and a very sought after personality. Now, the Kwankwaso movement is tough. They are determined. With that group, it's more like a cult-like following for Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. Now, let's go to Peter Obi. Now, Peter Obi, former Anambra State governor, in such a short time has built a lot of momentum. Is now the leader of the famous Obedient movement, and the movement is not joking, they're serious. In fact, in the South, it is being said that the major surge in voter registration is as a result of of this movement. Now, from the way things are going, it is showing that Peter Obi will most probably have a good run in the east, states like Anambra, Abia, Imo, Ebonyi, and all of those southeastern states may just be an easy run in the 2023 presidential election for Peter Obi. And it appears that Peter Obi may do very well in the south too, from the way things are going, and even Lagos and Abuja. Now, let's get into the analysis proper. The best way to predict the future is to look back, look at history. Now, this is it. Realistically, as much as I think that the APC and the PDP will be doing themselves a big disservice if they dismiss a possible alliance between the NNP and the Labour Party, I also want to properly situate this analysis so that even the supporters of Kwankwaso and Peter Obi will not be overly carried away and understand the facts. Now, this is it. Now, with 10 million votes, now it is not out of place to say that Kwankwaso will do very well in Kano. Kwankwaso will get block votes. In fact, I expect Kwankwaso to be able to get up to 70-80% of the votes in Kano. He should be able to do that. And let's not forget that we also have an Ibrahim Shekarau, in the NNP now. So you have two former Kano State governors, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, Ibrahim Shekarau, major political forces in the north, in Kano State, northwest. So you cannot dismiss that alliance. So I expect the NNP to do very well in Kano. Outside Kano, well, with all due respect to Kwankwaso and the Kwankwaso movement, whatever alliance that may happen, I think to say that Kwankwaso will do remarkably well outside Kano, I think that may be bad analysis, because this is an APC, enclave, mainly dominated by APC. In recent times, the APC have been getting block votes in those areas, and you may say Buhari is not on the ticket, but you want to see all of those governors in the APC who are seated and have come out to support a southern presidency will go back to their domains to work. They want to deliver. So you don't want to dismiss the influence of a man like Erufai. Politically is an heavyweight in Kaduna. So to say that Kwankwaso will go and sweep all of those places, no. I don't see that. I think that is not very realistic. I don't see that happening. But in Kano, I expect him to get block votes in Kano. But if they can pick 25 to 30% of the votes in other northwestern states of Jigawa, Kaduna, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara, I think that will be good. That will be good enough. That may just be good enough. Winning block votes in Kano, 75, 80, or maybe more, and now going to get 25, 30, and maybe, who knows, it could be more. If they do their hard work, it could be more. In the other northwestern states, I think that will just be good enough. That will just be good enough. And for Peter Obi, if he can do remarkably well in Southeast, which I expect, going by how his momentum, his popularity has been building, I expect him, and it's seeming like all of the Igbos are really out for this. They are seeing Peter Obi as probably their last hope, somewhat last hope, and he's building popularity. So I expect him to do really well. I expect that I'll be disappointed if he cannot get 80% of the votes. Anambra should be a run. He should be able to clear the votes there, and all of the other southeastern states, I expect him to do very well from 75 to 80-85%. I expect him to be able to do that, to clear the votes there. If he does that well, get up to 75-80% in all of the southeastern states, that will be safe. Then going into the south, if this momentum continues to build, I have reasons to believe that Peter Obi will do remarkably well in the south. I expect him to be able to take states like Edo. I expect him to be able to take up to 50, 60, 70% in Edo, and states like Cross Rivers. I expect him to do very well in Cross River from 50, 60%. I expect him to. I fear for him in states like Delta and Akwa Ibom, especially because of the influence of the governors there, and the PDP have been really strong in those states over the years. And for Akwa Ibom, in terms of infrastructural development, they've been remarkable. So I don't know if Peter Obi will do very well in those states, but going by how it's been going, the momentum, the popularity, the influence, it could get beyond 30, 40, percent. It's possible. That is possible if they do the hard work over there. Maybe even much more, I expect him to do generally well in the South. I expect him to. Then for Delta State, because Efe Cole is on the ticket, vice president, that may be a factor that may deplete the vote for Labour Party and Peter Obi. I would not be surprised if he doesn't do so well, but again, I think there are possibilities there. It's a South state, so generally in the South, the PDP has been losing ground, especially after Atiku Abubakar emerged, and looking at what has been happening with Governor Wike of Rivers State, and how it probably has been losing out in the politicking in terms of how the presidential and the vice presidential candidates have emerged. You want to say, well, you don't don't know what will happen. You don't know how far the PDP has lost ground. So the Labour Party and Peter Obi can take advantage of all of that. And just most recently, you saw Peter Obi himself reaching out to Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State. We don't know the level of that discussion. We don't know how much they discussed. We don't know what they talked about. You can only guess that, it's all about building support and all of that. So now, who knows where Governor Nyesom Wike stands? Who knows what he's thinking? Who knows his next move? So that will have a lot of impact in Peter Obi's success at the polls come 2023. So Rivers State, well, you cannot dismiss Nyesom Wike. So as of now, we can't really tell where Nyesom Wike is. We can't tell if he's all out for the PDP or if he's actually looking at walking outside of the PDP and probably supporting, a candidate outside the PDP. We don't know that. We don't know what is happening. The plot is still, building. The events are still, unfolding. So with what we can see, we can safely predict that Peter Obi will do quite well in the South. So now look at this. If Peter Obi does well in the Southeast, claiming 75 to 80% of the votes in the Southeast, and then being able to claim, say, 40, 50, 60% of the votes in states of the South, I think it can be more. Looking at from what we can see, it may just be more, And then you go to the South where Tinubu, I can say that I don't expect Peter Obi to do very well in the West, but Tinubu is from the Southwest, so I can give that to Tinubu. But Lagos may not be a smooth sail for Tinubu. I expect Peter Obi to do quite well in Lagos. Lagos is a battleground. If you look at the information coming from INEC, you are having this voter surge, and the voter surge is very remarkable in the Southwest. We are looking at states like Lagos or Ogun, having remarkable voter surge, especially for Lagos. It is being insinuated that some of these new voters are Southeasterners and the Northerners. So we don't know if that is true, but this is what is being said out there. And if that is true, that could favor a Peter Obi. And let's not also forget that Peter Obi, the obedient movement, has a very, very strong base in Lagos. Now, Abuja, by my understanding of political history and political realities in Nigeria, I can tell you that with NNN, Labour Party, Kwankwaso, Peter Obi aligning, they may take Abuja. Why do I say this? I say this because Abuja has a notorious history of not voting for the party in power. If you look at it historically, they've usually not voted for the party in Aso Rock. I expect a Peter Obi, NNN Labour Party alliance doing very well in Abuja, probably getting up to 70% of the votes in Abuja. That is a possibility. That is a possibility for such an alliance, because when that alliance happens, it changes everything. So if NNN will get up to 80% and more of the votes in Kano and probably be able to battle for 25, 30, 35, 40% of the votes in the other northwestern states, then the Northeast, I think, is definitely going to be a man to beat. I expect that he's going to do very, very well in that area. Come on, it's his own base, so I expect him to do very well. But if you look at a state like Borno, if you look at their political history and in recent times, especially since 1999, and how they have been voting, you will say that you don't see much hope for Kwankwaso and maybe even an Atiku in that area. And you have a governor like Zulum, and it's being touted that Zulum may be the vice presidential candidate. The APCs, they've not really decided on who will be vice president, and they still have a placeholder like the Labour Party. So who knows, if Zulum emerges, that will be big, that will be huge for APC. Now you also have a Kashim Shettima of Borno with Governor Zulum, coming together. Come on, that is going to be a team to beat. But for the other side, I expect Atiku to do really, really well. And because our focus is on a possible merger of the NNN and the Labour Party, Peter Obi and Kwankwaso, if they can afford to get a 1/3, that maybe a bit more in those areas, and who knows, hard work can produce bigger results. But now I'm trying to argue for a possibility for that alliance to go all the way and produce good results. Like, it's actually a possibility that they can do really well. So I expect the NNN Labour Party alliance to also be able to get their 1/3 in all of those northeastern states. Now for North Central is going to be a battleground. Now this is not the typical North. Now I can expect this alliance to get up to 50% in states like Plateau State, Benue State, and all of that. So actually, if you look at this realistically, this alliance, if it comes true, we have great potentials. And I tell you the truth, PDP and APC should be bothered if this alliance happens, because truly this third force becomes a real threat. Trust me, to dismiss it is to be naive. Now what this alliance will do is that a lot of people will take them seriously, and there's still a number, possibly millions of undecided voters voters. Now, it is being said that one of the issues stalling the alliance from happening. Now, the Kwankwaso group have come out to say that he will only join the alliance if he is picked as the president, and especially because he's the older, and they claim that it is proper and best practice for the younger to serve as vice. And they also actually think that Kwankwaso has more influence. Looking at the momentum that the Obedient group have been building and the support base of Peter Obi in the South, which has even gone international. So, do you agree that Kwankwaso is a bigger personality politically in this equation? So I love to hear your view. I love to hear your opinion. What do you think? Do you think Kwankwaso is a bigger personality politically to a Peter Obi? And who do you think should be the president and vice president if this alliance is to be a possibility? Drop your comments. I love to hear your opinion. I love to hear your views on this. We don't know the much that will happen. Let's see how it goes. And from the much that the Peter Obi, the Obedient movement, is doing in the South, and Kwankwaso replicating that in the North, I tell you the truth, if they do the hard work, the worst that can happen to them is that they force a runoff. We are looking at a situation where, you have to get a 1/3 in all the states and a 2/3 nationwide. That is the constitutional requirement. One thing that can be given is that this alliance may create a situation where neither of the three forces, APC, PDP, and this third force now in the Labour Party and the NNPP, may be able to fulfill this constitutional requirement of a 1/3 in all states and a 2/3 nationwide. So what may possibly happen is that there will be a rerun, and what will happen in a rerun is that is a head-to-head. You have the two political parties with most votes edging out the one with the least vote going into that head-to-head contest. So I think what I can say now is that the negotiators in both parties, Labour Party, NNPP, should do their best to make this work, because if it does, I can tell you that they will be a major force. And truly, the hope of them winning a presidential election, which is seeming like a really tall order now, can really come alive. And I tell you the truth, it is a possibility that they can really, really go all the way. Of course, it's not going to be a walk in the park. We are looking at two major political parties in the PDP and the APC. And let me send a note of warning to the major political parties, APC and PDP. To dismiss that alliance if it happens is to be shooting yourself in the foot. So let's keep the polity bubbling, let's keep it buzzing, and let's keep campaigning and supporting our respective candidates. And please, let's respect other people's choices, and let's be quite civil in how we, do all our supporting and our campaigning. So please, guys, subscribe. I really need all of those subscriptions. It helps this video to have a far reach. Like, and if you don't mind, please share on your social media platform. I would really, really appreciate that. Please drop your comments. I want you to comment. Tell me what you think, and I promise I would reply all of those comments. Let's build a community. Manager people, una do well.